Well, good afternoon, Marie. How are you?
I am so thrilled to be here talking
Oh
to
my
you, Andrea. Love
gosh.
it.
I've
Love
been
it.
counting down the sleeps. I have been
Have
genuinely
you?
counting. Oh yeah, because you're
Oh,
amazing. But
oh.
before I better put this in a little bit of context. You're in Perth.
Yes.
I'm here in Victoria. What's the temperature like there today?
Oh, it's 36. It's just an ordinary summer day in Perth.
Well, it's
But yeah.
cold here in
Oh no.
Victoria.
But
I
you had 40
know.
degrees last
I
last week.
know. It's
What's going on with that?
We've had the weirdest summer, but
Yes.
we have just chatting. We think we got to know each other 5 or more years ago when I was coming over to Perth.
Yes.
And ever since our very first conversation, I've held you in such high regard about your understanding how children learn. So there was no way you're getting out of this, not being on here with me. I was like, there's no way. I need to have Marie here.
Well, so honored to be part of this amazing group of educators that you've put together on this
Oh,
series. I've had a little sneak peek of all the others, and I'm
oh,
like,
there's
oh
some
my gosh,
amazing people.
am
How
I going to be
lucky
one
are
of those
we?
people?
We
Yes,
are
we
part
are
of their
some
tribe. Like it's just
tribe.
so good. It's so
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
perhaps give our listeners, our viewers, a little bit of update about what you actually are doing right now. Your
Right
role.
now, so right now, well, the last 12 months in particular have been a real shift, I can say,
Yeah.
a
Yep.
shift in my personal journey, my personal learning journey, because I'm
Yeah.
always on a learning journey, as you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
Andrea. We have that in common as
Absolutely.
well.
Yes, we
Always
do.
learning, always learning. So after a career, nearly 15 years as an education consultant here in Perth for one of the sectors, just visiting schools. So I did professional learning in schools for a long time. Most of that with my humanities hat on. So
Oh,
I'm a
yes.
curriculum consultant.
Yes.
So humanities
Amazing.
is my thing, and it kind of has been all my life. When I think back, I think I really liked social studies back in the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah. Yeah.
social studies and doing projects and all
Yep.
the things, learning about people and stories. So I was doing that, and then that came to an end, and I thought, now what am I going to do? And having been a primary teacher, that's my background.
Yeah.
Originally, I there were several options. I was sort of thinking, several of my friends were going, "Oh, just go back and do relief teaching, or just do this, or just do that." And there were other people they were saying, "Marie, start your own business," and I'm
Yes.
like, me, start my own business? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
So what I thought, so I didn't think of that immediately, but I had schools that I was working with who were like, "Where are you, Marie? And
We are missing you, right?
can you
Like,
still come to our school?" And I'm like, "Actually, yeah, maybe I can."
yeah.
But we can, but here, but to do that, you need to have some kind of formality, some kind of business name, some kind of invoicing and all that sort
Oh,
of
no.
stuff, which, that's the side of running a business that is not my favorite thing.
No.
But
Hear you.
anyway, so I thought, well, part of that was like, well, and other people were like, "Well, have you got a website?" The immediate thing was like, "Have you got a website?" It's like, "Oh, me have a website?" So that was another thing. But
Yeah.
I guess in my transition, I've kept in contact with this amazing web designer, Gavin Benson, who's now living in Bali. Amazing. But we developed my website together over the course of a couple of months. This time last year, we were still
Yeah. How
developing it.
exciting.
And that was kind of a really great creative
Mm.
endeavor for the two of us to do. But also for me personally, I was like, this is about me. I've never
Yep.
had a website of my own.
Yep. And like,
What am I
who
going
am
to
I? What are my beliefs?
Yes.
You
So
know,
that's
like,
what I had. Yes, you have to.
yeah.
There's so much reflection and so much. And I thought, yeah, actually, I've had a long history in education. I've done a lot of things. I've been a university lecturer. I've been a tech school teacher. I've been a school leader. I've been a consultant. I thought, actually, yeah, I've done a lot of things. Maybe I can have a website. So that then leads you to examining your values and all of
Yep.
those things that you want to put yourself forward. And then there was the next thing about, well, what am I going to call it? So I sort of thought, well, networking and people have really been part of my whole I don't know, my whole life as far as storytelling and connecting with
Yeah.
people. And the humanities just lends itself to
I
do
was going to
that.
say that's that whole
Yes,
connection, right? And
that whole
creativity,
bridge.
community. Yeah. Love it.
Absolutely. So I knew what I wanted to do. I also wanted to promote other consultants or other people who are out there doing the work and working with schools that don't quite fit in a box, that
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
quite have a system or a sector attached to it, or aren't some prescribed type of pedagogy. I thought there are all sorts of people doing amazing things. Other teachers and schools need to know about them. So I
Yeah.
thought, I want to make a community. So I've always been fond of the term PLC, Professional Learning Community,
Yeah.
PL community, but I thought a lot of my work has been around purpose.
Yep.
And one of the courses that I developed over the last few years was called the Purposeful Pedagogies
Oh, yes.
project. So I thought that's what I really want to foster because there's so much around pedagogy, and there's so many conflicting this way, that way,
Mm.
which way. But at the center of it, it's purpose. What is
Yep.
purposeful?
Absolutely.
So I thought, there you go, purposeful learning community, because everyone was like, what's your company? I said, no, I don't want to be a company. I want
Yeah.
to be a community.
Yeah. Love
So
it.
PLC was born this time
Oh, how
last year.
exciting.
I launched the Purposeful Learning Community. So yeah, look it up.
Oh,
I
I
had
I
such
will
fun.
be.
I
Don't
had
you
such
worry.
fun making the logo, making the color,
Yes.
and I'm a bright person. You can see I
Yeah.
wear orange, all these
Yeah.
colors.
But you
So
also bring a lot of energy. Like when you enter the room, the vibe goes. You're amazing. So I
thank you.
I just
So
think
I
that's
hope that
great.
comes across. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing now. And under that umbrella, I've been doing several things and it's evolved.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what's happened is that here what I was sitting thinking, oh, the phone now I've got to wait for the phone to ring for the school.
Yeah.
So how are they going to know that I'm out here doing my thing? So I'm a very firm believer in social media for good. And
Yes, you
social
are
media
very good at social media. I
the
love it.
social media, thanks, because and with you, social media has got it's a bit of a bad rap sometimes. It's that,
Mm.
all the scrolling, but you can learn
Oh,
so much. You can learn,
so many
you
things,
can,
and even
oh,
just a springboard, right? Like I saw something
yes,
yesterday. And I just thought, oh, I probably wouldn't do it that way, but I'm just going to take this little part. And I private messaged the person and said, I love this idea. I'm now going to use that with 15-year-old,
wow,
learners. And they
yeah,
went, oh,
yes.
wow, how? And I went, this way. And they went, oh, that's so cool,
So
And
there you go. Yeah, connection. So you've
yep,
now connected to
yep,
someone else.
absolutely.
And LinkedIn's been a really big source of my professional journey for many years, many years. And I even say to teachers that do my course, are you on LinkedIn? And the first response is, oh, but I don't need a job. It's so much more than not needing.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
connection. It's like having an e-portfolio. But
Mm.
through that connection, particularly, and Instagram and some of the Facebook groups that I have as well, um, people got to know what I was doing, and also other things came to me. Like over time, I've done writing resources, curriculum resources,
Yeah,
mainly history. I worked a lot
yep,
with the History Teachers Association for many years. Set up a Facebook group for primary history teachers because basically primary teachers generalists, and
yeah.
they were and even when the history curriculum was being written back in 2010, way back when the first iteration came out, I was so pleased then that I had that association with the History Teachers
Yes, because
Association, because
yeah,
then they were looking for a primary teacher to do some
yeah,
writing. Akara was
yeah,
like, oh, who are the primary history teachers out there?
yeah.
So, yeah, I got tapped on the shoulder, way back then and
Oh,
helped
wow.
write the original history curriculum. So that was one thing that I have just, yeah, that's blossomed. And that's one of my tips that I've got. We're going to talk about tips later, but
Yeah.
I'm going to actually say that is that be true to who you are and be true
Yeah.
to what you are passionate about, because it does come through and it does bear fruit over
Oh,
time.
absolutely. I have
If
just had something this week that's been a highlight is author from Adelaide. Her name's Katrina, and she's
Mhm.
written some really beautiful picture storybooks. And I'm a big fan, but she actually has asked, oh, they actually were released today. I've written some teaching notes for her. And like for me to do that as a job, like it's my
Mm,
passion, I will write
yes.
every day of the week. But for someone to say, hey, what you do is
Mm.
so good that I want it to be for
Yeah.
my book.
Yes.
And,
And that's happened. Yeah. Yeah.
makes
So
you skip.
it
Makes you
does. And
skip.
it's
Yeah.
like, wow, who me? And it's
Yeah.
and it's and it's kind of it's so fulfilling. And like you say, it's given me also that level of flexibility because I say, yeah, I'd
Mm,
love to do that. And then they'd say, well, when can you do it? And timelines and
yeah.
deadlines. So it's teaching me other things as well.
Mm,
But also I can do that as consultant because in my little business I've started, I say I'm the founder and the
yeah.
lead consultant.
Yeah.
So that's part of so curriculum writing. Other
Oh,
things that
good
have
on
come to
you.
me have been some university lecturing again
Yep.
and working with pre-service teachers again.
Oh
One
my
of my
gosh, they are
huge
going to adore you because you have got so much knowledge and current knowledge. They're going to go, oh, yay.
And you know what I love the best? Because these two units I'm particularly doing has children's literature and primary units, integrated studies and things. But my whole bank of children's literature and picture books,
Oh,
they
yeah.
just come into their own because
Yeah.
I just that's another area that also we have in common is
Mm,
that we just love
love.
that. And so
Yeah.
that I'm looking forward mostly to taking that big suitcase of books and
Oh,
sharing
I
that with the
know.
with
I'm
them.
with you there. I'm with
Yeah,
you
yeah.
there.
So
It's,
that's what I'm doing right now. So a
oh,
few little things here and there, but
oh, well,
keeping me
I'll make
busy.
sure I'll put your website and also, so your tags, everyone can like follow you be because I know it will be just wonderful. Now, three teaching tips. I can just I am so excited about this. I've even got my pen ready to make some notes because whenever you speak, I listen
Oh,
and
that's
it makes me
nice.
think. And I love being, I love provocations. I love people, stimulating my curiosity about new things. So I'm very excited to hear these three teaching tips. So what is teaching tip number one?
Okay, I've spun that around a little bit as far as when you asked me to think about three teaching tips, I've taken it as three tips for teachers.
Yeah,
Now, can you
perfect.
see that little
Yes.
difference?
Yeah,
The
I
little
love it.
nuance is
Yeah,
that
yep,
it's not
absolutely.
so much pedagogical or something that you can take straight to the classroom, but I want
Mm,
teachers to have a bit of a self-reflective time with my three tips and have a look
yep.
at where it lands with them.
Yeah,
So,
great.
like I was saying to you, I've taken my tips and I've used them, and I'm going to give you three words.
Oh, great.
Okay.
I love it.
Three words. So my first word, and they're all P words, which I love
Mm,
that.
yeah.
So P, so the first word is passion.
Yep.
So without passion, I mean, one way back when I was at university, I remember, we were going out on our first pracs and our lecturer was saying, what you do when you come into the classroom because and he said something like, it's a stage. You've got to, even if you're not feeling that good that day, or even
Yep.
if you're having a sad day or something's happened, the minute you walk in there and and primary, of course, primary kids,
Yeah. Yeah.
you've got to be that actor. You've got to
Yep.
be, happy face, smiley. And I've never forgotten that. And
No.
I take that into every workshop,
Mm,
every opportunity
yep.
that I have, because who you present yourself and what you're passionate about, it shows. And I don't mean 24/7 and having that false
Oh no.
Pollyanna kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
got to be
totally agree
genuine.
with you. Like you make a choice when you get out of the car in the morning.
Mm.
Like you make a respectful, decision that how you're going to present yourself as a learner, and in your
Mm.
case as as a leading educator. I totally agree about
Yeah.
that.
So with the passion thing, I think I've only just developed this, well, not over time, but I actually wanted to be an art teacher, visual art
Oh
teacher, and that's what I
yeah.
wanted to study. And I did specialize in art and music when I was at uni. And then, so that's always been a thread that's gone through myself. But my tip is that never lose sight of whatever. Like I often ask teachers, what's your favorite subject? Like
Yeah,
primary
yeah.
teachers, do you have a favorite?
Yeah.
And why? And don't be afraid to say that because that will then springboard to other things. So, like I said, social studies, humanities has all of those things seem to be what I was passionate about because
Yeah.
it also led me whenever I was reading a picture book or reading stories, I would always have in my classroom a serial novel or something
Yeah.
that I would read
Yep.
every day. Whenever we did silent reading, that 10, 15
Yep.
minutes after lunch, I would sit and read. So
Yes.
model that
Yeah.
all the time, and just stop. Same with writing. Have that 10-minute writing.
Yeah.
Everybody
You're
writes.
holding the pen too. Like you're showing the
Absolutely.
kids. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that. I love
yeah. So
that.
I love that. And I love the fact that our interests can then follow us wherever we go. So having that bit of, and showing the kids, like if you're
Mm.
passionate about something, like quite often, my love of art and painting, I still paint sometimes, but I would often, the schools that I ended up landed in,
Yeah.
teaching,
Yeah.
most of them had an art specialist. So I was like, oh, well, I can't teach it. But a lot of the time, and because that was often our dot time, you
Yeah.
drop the
Yeah.
kids off at the
Yep.
door and then you go and do other things. I was that teacher who very often would make friends with the art teacher to start with. And
Yeah.
I would go in the back of the classroom and do the art with the kids.
Yeah.
Or I would
Absolutely.
go in
Yeah. I
the
love
at
it.
lunchtime and finish off painting because there's always a few kids in the art room
Yeah.
over lunchtime. So they saw that that was my passion.
Yeah.
They
I don't.
saw,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I like entering the grounds. If I stay a little bit later at one of my partnership schools and the kids are at morning tea, having recess or whatever, they'll skip over to me and they'll tell me about a maths game or a book they've read and like, oh, Mrs. H, you need to read this book or you need
yeah,
to play this
yeah,
game.
yeah.
And passion is contagious.
It is,
Yeah.
and I love the term connection before content. If you're
Yeah.
not connected, if you can't connect to your children, the learning doesn't happen.
No, correct.
So that
Mm.
point of connection, whatever it is, even we're coming up to a new school year,
Yeah.
I would highly recommend that you just spend time to get to know the kids. If they're
Yeah.
totally new kids and you don't know them very well or you don't know them at all, spend that time. It'll be
Yeah.
well worth
Oh,
it.
it's such a good investment, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
I
my
love it. Yeah.
second
Yeah.
tip, which is kind of related, is P for people. And the
Yeah.
P for people is again stemmed in humanities, the human side of us. And I think that lends itself also, and you'll see when on my website in the about section, I've actually modeled a lot of what I do and what I believe on the inner development goals. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
sure whether a lot of people have heard of those. They've often heard of the Sustainable Development Goal, the
Yes. Yeah.
SDGs.
Yeah.
Well, the inner development goals are a set, they still come out of the United Nations,
Yeah.
but they are a set of goals that talk about your being and how you can, as a person. So the
Oh,
people
I don't
part,
know that. So
because,
it's a
yeah, inner
inner.
development goals, IDGs.
Okay,
And
guess what? I'm now curious about that, so I've got some reading to do. Thank you. Yes, so keep going.
that's on
Sorry.
I've actually put there's a little YouTube that explains it. That's on the
Oh,
about
great.
page of my website
Okay.
because I want people to see that everything that I do and everything that our community um, does is stepped, we really
Mm,
believe these things and we really believe who we are and people come first. Because even how they develop is that the sustainable development goals are great, but they can't be actioned without the right people for the right
correct.
motives doing it. So what's your inner self?
Mm,
And it talks about all things like kindness, compassion, all the things that we hope to be passing on um, to our students and
I
to
love
the
that.
children. So that's come over time. I've done a few coaching. I am a coach and a mentor to many, but this year in particular, because I had a bit of a shift in my own career, I
Yeah.
invested in some career coaching.
Yes. Oh,
And
cool.
and through that process, because I was feeling a little bit lost, because when you've got people saying, "Oh, you should be doing this," or "Why don't you try this?"
Yeah, you
And I
had
was in a,
so many options, right? It's like
I
which is the
was like,
yeah.
"Yes, what do I really want to do in
Mm,
the autumn of my career?"
yeah.
Or as we're, I said I acknowledge that I have expertise and experience to share, and I want to keep sharing that. Also, want to keep learning and
Yeah.
learning about yourself. That was so just that. And I had a brilliant coach. And I wrote about that. And this is what the LinkedIn posts are great for because they're like little
Yes.
articles.
Yes, they are. They
So
really, yeah.
anybody that's been following my journey this year would have been,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, Maree, what are you doing? Or what is that woman doing next? It was kind of like, I thought, no, be brave. So
Yeah.
vulnerability has
Yeah.
been another thing
And I,
that's come out of
and
that.
also authenticity. Like you're
Mm,
being Maree. When I like a lot of people, I get beautiful messages saying, "Oh, you're so brave with your, face to camera videos." Well, yeah, at the start, but like that, this is me. Like, like
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I want
yeah.
people to get to know me. Yeah,
Yeah.
good on you.
So within that coaching, there were several like little tests and little for a little not tests but little surveys and things that you had to develop and so that you got to know your personality type and that
Mm,
kind of thing. But I came out as a connector, nurturer.
yes, not
So that was
surprised.
like, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
But the nurture, so it's like I didn't need a test to find that out, but it was actually quite nice to actually see that I was being true to
Yeah.
to who I am. So the people part is really, really important to me, and who I invite into the community are the
Mm.
people that I've either worked with, and that's what I want. I want to actually invite you, Andrea, to be part of
Oh,
my
I'd love to.
community. So I want you to have a look at the site
Yep.
first and think, oh, yeah, I think I could hang out with those people,
Yeah, I
and I
def
could,
oh,
and they're very often also people that and companies and organisations that I've worked with or
yeah.
worked for, or people who I believe in what they're doing. So that's
Yeah,
my
nice.
belief. I strongly believe in what they're doing. Um, and so then that's the second P, people.
Yep.
The third P or the third tip that I have for teachers, educators, and just everybody in the world is purpose.
Yep.
So, purpose, there's been a lot. I mean, everybody's examining their why and, what's
Yeah.
your why and what's your this and what you that. I think purpose really came to the fore for me. And I started using that word a lot when the whole pedagogy debate started happening.
Yep.
I mean, it's always been there, but I think pedagogy could probably be another P word as well. But the pedagogy that I see doesn't, that I see happening in schools now, there's a lot of pressure for teachers to do all sorts of, methods
Yep.
and teaching approaches that aren't really connected, or the children just aren't connecting. They're not learning, and it's fear that they get a fear for them.
Yeah.
And I just want
Yeah.
to tell you a little story because I'm
Yeah.
I'm a strong advocate for inquiry-based learning, for personalised programs, for children's interests, um, just anything that allows student voice,
Yep.
agency, but also teacher agency. See,
Yep.
and that's where I think a lot of the debate going on with pedagogy, it's very top down. We're
Yep.
not giving teachers a chance to, all this time I've been saying, express your passion, what's your,
Yes. Yeah. And then
but then that we're not seeing that. Teachers are being
no.
told, well, this is the way you have to teach. And we bought
Mm.
this program and now
Yep.
you need to teach this. So
Mm.
yeah, very early on, like even in my primary school, and now I just tell this story because I talk for a living. I can
Yeah.
talk, I
Yeah.
can talk the legal,
I bet you're talking
workshops.
really cool stuff. So we're all listening.
Anyway, I can talk, I can talk the talk, I guess. But when I was in primary school, I had a very bad stammer. I
Oh,
stammered. I started,
really?
and so and I don't know where it came from,
Yeah.
but one of the things that used to send chills down my spine and was round robin reading. Now, I
Oh.
don't know whether you've,
Is
come
that
across
when the
that.
person one person reads at a time? Is that?
Yes, is that's when you go around the class, the teacher gives, and it was like a paragraph each. And I grew up in the Catholic system, so quite often we were also reading the Bible sometimes. So
Yeah.
you'd read a
Okay.
passage,
Yep.
and I would be so nervous that
Mm.
I would not be listening to what everybody was reading, but I would be working out in my head how many paragraphs till you got to me, and I
Yeah.
would be rehearsing that in my mind,
Yeah.
particularly the D's and the S's and the T's. I
Oh,
was like, oh my God,
the pressure.
pressure. But I was quite I mean, I was top of the class for lots of things,
Yeah.
maths and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I used to sing in church. I could sing, I could read the readings in church, I could do all of those things in front of people. But if I had to suddenly read something
Mm.
without rehearsing it,
Yeah.
I was a nervous wreck. So
Yep.
there was I, like 8, 9, 10. I even remember in year seven. Year seven used to be in
Yeah.
primary school, that I
Yeah.
was like this. So that's why with all this, EDI and cold calling,
Mm.
I just have a fear. I
Yeah.
can just fear for some of those children. So every classroom I ever had, no round robin. There was,
Yeah.
and number one, and then I would always ask the children, if you don't want to read, that's fine, or tell me which part you want to read, or
Yeah. Yep.
because really there is a purpose in doing round robin reading. You're trying the teacher's trying to assess oral reading, but
Yes.
there's
Yes.
other ways to do that. You don't have
Yeah.
to do it in
Yeah.
front of people. So I think that's why fundamentally I know there's a place for cold calling, and I know that the EDI has its merits in some way. And it shouldn't be either or. It should
Mm.
be a mix where it's appropriate for the learners. But that's why I always tell that story. I actually wrote a blog post about it
Yeah.
because we were talking about how I developed a love of silent reading because I
Yes,
didn't
of
I didn't want
course.
to read out loud,
Yeah, no.
but I
And then
love
you had all
reading.
these worlds happening inside your head because you loved
Yes.
reading. Then you're like,
Why can't I just say it? So yeah, and
mm,
it wasn't until I was trying to think of when it actually my fear of reading out loud sort of ended, and I remember it was either year I don't know 9 or 10 we had a speed
mm,
reading course
yeah,
to help you skim and scan.
yeah, yeah,
That was the best thing, and
yeah.
I don't
Because
know from then on. Then I was a school leader in high school, and then I did teaching, and then I don't know it's gone. My
yeah, that's
stomach,
fabulous though. I
which I
know
know
what
it's
I know what you're saying, Marie, because as you know, I also do a lot of professional learning around mathematics. And people often come to my session, they'll say, "Don't ask me anything, Andrea. Don't ask me a hard." I go, "No, no, no." I said, "Well, whatever we're doing, will be in game form, or I would never ask you to, line up in a line and give you a fast, you know what I mean? Like and I
mm.
used to think, now these are adults saying to me,
Yeah.
don't do this to me, and
Mm,
or they'll
mm.
come in, they'll say, I'm excited about today, but I'm no good at mathematics. And I'll go, you're an absolute brilliant mathematician. But you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so
Yes.
I often think about how I would like to be treated in a learning community or a classroom or whatever you want to call it. And I always think about doing that when I'm working with adults and children.
Yeah,
I
that's
see what
right.
you're
And I think
saying.
that's where it comes back to connection and really getting to know your students
Yeah.
well, and having those little conversations at recess, or just when you're walking
Mm.
in before school, or they've
Yeah.
got something to show you and they can't wait.
Yeah.
All of those moments is where you build trust, is
Yes.
where you build that whole person that they think, kids generally they love their teachers. I mean, I know
Yes.
my own children, when I had my classes, my girls used to say, but then I used to call them my kids. For that
Yeah.
year, they were
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
kids. And it was
Yeah.
like, they're not your kids. My girls would say, but I've got two daughters. They're not your kids. I said, well, they actually are. I said,
Yeah. You're
primary
spending a
teachers
lot of time.
especially,
Yeah.
yes, primary teachers probably spend, well, they do more waking hours with the
Mm.
children than their parents. So
Yeah.
I said, yes, you do develop,
Yeah.
yeah, they are your kids for that time.
And now I
So
feel like that about the awesome teachers I work with,
yes,
building relational trust with them so they feel that, they are like valued, and it doesn't matter what their opinion is, I will listen and build upon that and accept, respectfully sometimes challenge, but
yes,
that is so
yeah.
important. That is so important.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
So
Your
that's
three
that's
tips have been,
me. And
it's been
that's my three
amazing.
tips.
And I have
Yeah.
got my list of things that I am going to go and do some further learning about. So, your three P words I can actually describe with one P word as priceless. They are
Oh,
so good. And you know what? Sometimes having keywords to make us reflect, or keywords to keep us on track.
on track.
Like,
Yeah.
Maree, my big saying for the last couple of years is I'm going to stay in my own lane. I'm going to, stay in my own lane and, think about still learn, 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 but just, try
Mm,
not to be, taking this exit and that exit. And you know what I mean? Thinking, okay, as you said, what's my core beliefs? Stay
yes.
true to them because that's what makes me tick, or that what makes me
Yes.
smile. But,
Yes. And also, yeah, with that message too, is that if you feel you're in a situation where your values have been compromised,
mm,
that's not good for learning either. That's not a
mm,
good place to be in, and you can feel it, you can embody,
Mm.
what's not right. So I think that that's something to really think about as well. And that's why even as part of my offerings, I've got service learning, because there's a lot to be said that for helping out others. And a lot of people
Yeah.
do that. But
Yeah.
you can bring that into the classroom, and there are so many curriculum links. So
Yeah.
that's my superpower, I like to
Okay.
say, is that
What's your superpower?
I can almost see curriculum links in everything we
Oh
do.
my gosh.
And the world is full
Yeah.
of curriculum links. That one of my other little jobs at the moment is I work for a company called Bloom.
Yep.
And Bloom is called the Centre of Innovation, for Youth Innovation. So
Yep.
what we do there is promote entrepreneurship,
Yep.
innovation, and social enterprise. So
Oh,
with social enterprise, we're looking at, and it's when kids have those great ideas and they want to make little products, and then
yes.
design thinking. So that's
Yeah.
another pedagogy that I love. And
Yep.
then they pitch their idea, and then they have an audience. Again, so many curriculum links in that
And like
process.
authenticity. Back to that word
Yes,
authenticity. Yeah.
and purpose, like what's that, why are you developing this
Mm.
product, and why do you want to sell it, and why do you want, like a Shark Tank kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
um and then and I love the fact that just brings another level of how am I helping my community. So quite often when I go, especially regional schools, I love to look at the community and what do you need, what are the problems, or what can we make
Yeah.
better, and starting the kids looking at their own, and start with your school, start with a little
Yeah.
project, and
Absolutely.
then see all the links that you can do. Back in the day, we used to call it themes. We used to have
Yep.
themes.
Yep.
But you can actually, yeah, so there's so many things that we're teaching as extra, or if we've got a bit of time at the end of the year, we'll have a
Yeah.
little
But if
special
we pull
thing.
it to,
Pull it together. We haven't got
yeah.
time to be doing that. Why
No.
not make it fun? Why save those fun projects for the end where
Yeah.
they're full of curriculum links? All our
Yeah.
planning could be like that. We could have
Yeah,
fun,
yeah, I
joy.
think yeah, joy's pretty big on my list. Someone
Yeah,
actually chose that. Someone I follow, I can't remember who it is now. They people often choose a word for
yeah.
their word for the year, and this person had joy, and I thought, yeah, that's a good word. I am very, very grateful that you've spent some time, and for me to have a one-on-one with you is like, whoa, it's joyful for me.
Thank you.
And
Same.
you're a super talented, busy person, and for you to take time out to meet me on Zoom is so I'm so grateful. But I'm also going to give you all the thank you from everyone who's going
Mhm.
to view this because they will get a lot from you. And you know what the beauty of this has been for me, Maree? So
Right, Andrew.
you're my 12th person I've spoke to. Everyone is
Yes.
different. Everyone's got a different tip or a different passion, as you call it. And isn't that's what makes us a
Isn't that great?
community? You know,
Yeah,
like it's just
yeah.
been, and from every person, I've got six to go, I'm doing
Mm,
18. Every
mm.
person I have got off and thought, oh, wow, I need to go and learn about that, or
Ah,
I need to
yeah,
reflect upon that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's been absolutely the best professional learning for me and for anyone that views these. So,
And don't you think that that's why we got into teaching?
oh,
Because
absolutely.
no day is the same. No child is the same.
No,
No school is the same. I
no,
think we don't want same. We
no,
don't
no,
want a
no,
one size fits all curriculum.
no.
We want to be ourselves, and we want to be joyful in celebrating
Yeah, yeah.
ourselves and what we bring to everything.
100%.
Thank you for this
100%.
opportunity. I've loved
Thank
it.
you.
I've loved chatting. And
You
yeah,
have a beautiful afternoon, won't you?
I will. And thank
And
you
I'll
so
be going
much.
straight to your website.
Oh, please do. All right. Thank you.